What's going on, guys? Asian Guy here, bringing you a video covering the upcoming global SUGOFEST, the road to 100 million worldwide downloads SUGOFEST. Now this SUGOFEST, heavy emphasis goes to the phrase road to, and the reason I say that is because inevitably what's going to happen is we're going to be getting a way better SUGOFEST when global, or in fact the world, Japan, Taiwan, or the line version, Korea, and global / the French version all hit a total combined worldwide 100 million downloads. When that finally happens, very likely what's going to happen is we're going to get an even better SUGOFEST on global than what's coming or what's incoming. Having said that, even though it sounds like I'm trying to recommend not to put on this SUGOFEST by all means is still a very good SUGOFEST. It's a SUGOFEST a lot of people have been waiting for. It is the Gear 4 V2 and Legend Nami SUGOFEST. And in this video, we are going to be looking and analyzing the rate ups and which part you should be putting on if you choose to put on this SUGOFEST. But TLDR, the too long didn't read, my recommendation is not to put on this SUGOFEST, to wait to see what Christmas is. If Christmas isn't good, then wait for the anniversary, because you can never ever go wrong with the anniversary SUGOFEST unless you're Naruto blazing, in which case you can go really wrong. But I really believe that the OPTC global team, they are doing good things right now. They're bringing a 6+ V2 Lucci first to global. Japan does not get him first. Global is going to be getting him first, and after all these wave of events, I have to say global team is stepping it up. So have faith in the anniversary SUGOFEST for the global version of the game. However, this SUGOFEST, if you cannot wait, you've been blue balled for so long and you cannot end No Nut November without nutting on the 1st of December for the SUGOFEST, then go ahead, by all means, go ahead and pull, because it is a 2x legend rate SUGOFEST. It's an all gold SUGOFEST. There is no discounted multi at the beginning, but having said that, at the end of the day, the grand scheme of things, you're saving 20 gems and potentially a lot of pain. You're saving a lot of pain from having to clear a lot of difficult content if you've been saving for a very long time for this specific SUGOFEST. And if you choose not to put on this SUGOFEST, then you're just going to be in the endless cycle of, well, if I put on this SUGOFEST, then I will have less gems for the next SUGOFEST, which could arguably be better. And then if you're constantly in that cycle, you're just trapped. So at some point, you've got to let those balls burst. And I just realized this is completely irrelevant if you do not have the male genitalia. But that aside, ladies and gentlemen, if you are going to be pulling part 1 and part 3 is the way I would recommend, the way to go. And the reason is because part 2, I have separated the rare recruits and also the legends. I've kind of done it in a tier list format where I've ranked all the legends I would imagine people would want to pull, or in my opinion, the better legends towards the top end, and then the worst legends towards the bottom end, and then the same with the rare recruits as well. And when you look at this, just looking at part 2, let me hide my face so you can see the top left corner, but when you look at part 2, let's be real, ladies and gentlemen, part 2 is hot garbage. It is rubbish. These rare recruits are rubbish, and maybe they're not garbage, but their usability is rubbish. They're so niche. There's so very few little places to use these units. Maybe in boosted events, sure, but in boosted events you can just go ahead and put on those boosted SUGOFEST, because these rare recruits will be dropping like flies. But outside of this, you really do not have many places to use all of those rare recruits that I put in the bottom 2 rows. You got brand new, you've got that Ivankov, you've got that Jinbei. Sure, Jinbei and Ivankov, they've been boosted in certain events, but outside of those in everyday use, so limited, so niche, but they're still better than the ones below them. 20th anniversary Frankie, hot garbage. He's almost never optimal. That Usopp I have seen being an optimal unit before when you're trying to get around, I believe, negative beneficial orbs or something like that. Unbeneficial orbs. I don't know what the correct phrase is. And also, you've got that Moria, really not that useful. His limit break is not amazing either. Bellamy, again, he has been boosted in the past in certain events. Same with Bon Clay, but at the same time, they were never essential, right? These units, they are alternatives. They themselves are alternatives, but they're not the primary or the optimal alternative. So they're never like the best in-slot unit that you can have for their specific role. There are other units in the game or other units in the future that will be coming that do the exact same thing utility-wise, and they do even more than what they do. So do keep that into consideration. Don't just look at the legends when you're looking at the rate ups on which days you want to pull, because at the end of the day, take it with a pinch of salt. These are only rate up units. They're not guaranteed on anything. They're just rate ups, so you have a slightly higher chance of pulling any of those. But it's worth mentioning that most of these, or in fact all of them, I believe, will all have a less than 1% chance of you pulling the specific one. Having said that, you've got the new Whole Cake Island batch of units. All of them are very good units. I would say Pedro is the best one. The Chopper is pretty good as well. Carrot is also very good. And I would say Brook is probably the worst one, but he still has his use. If you pull Gear 4 V2 Luffy, you do want to get a lot of those rare recruits. Pedro especially is super good, especially nowadays when most enemies have debuff protection. He will easily give you a 1.75 times attack boost and all boost for your entire team. So he's a rainbow booster in that regard, as long as they have debuff protection. So that is a top rare recruit. Now let's begin on part 1 with the Legendes. So the Legends, that is my cat Jojo, sorry about that, that's my wallpaper. The Legends. Wanted to remove my camera there. We've got Gear 4 V2 Luffy, Legend Nami, V2 Sanji, V2 Shanks, Shirahoshi. And the reason I skipped over V2 Lucci is because on every single day, the 5th multiple, you are guaranteed a 6+ V2 Lucci, a global first. Having said that, it's like the 6+ lore and also the 6+ time skip Luffy, which is G4V1 Luffy. You can assume this is going to be a side grade. It's most likely going to be a shooter powerhouse instead of powerhouse shooter. And as a shooter powerhouse, it's most likely going to be a captain for a shooter team. But we all know shooters, not the best class. They are getting the revival on Japan right now, Legend Capone, Legend Zephyr. But how long are those two going to take to come to global? 3, 4, 5 months, and you're just going to have a V2 6+ Lucci sitting in your box really doing nothing. I don't even know what he does yet, but I can strongly and firmly say that he is not going to be worth doing 5 multis for. If your sole purpose of doing 5 multis is to try and get V2 Lucci, please refrain from doing it, because whatever the Christmas SUGOFEST is, whatever the anniversary SUGOFEST is, there is a very good chance you are going to end up putting yourself a dupe if you do go for the guaranteed Lucci. So, in my opinion, not worth going for the Lucci. But those 5 legends I pointed out right now, all top class legends. Gear 4 V2 Luffy, arguably the best legend in the game. A lot of people will contest that and say Whitebeard and Marco. I myself personally would say Whitebeard and Marco is better than Gear 4 V2 Luffy now, with how difficult content is becoming. Sign in having neutral affinity is always helpful, and they are essentially a rainbow captain as well. So Gear 4 V2 Luffy or Whitebeard and Marco, whichever camp you're in, go for that SUGOFEST. If you want to have Gear 4 V2 Luffy, then this SUGOFEST, go for it. Legend Nami, arguably the best sub in the game for a lot of people. V2 Sanji, one of the fastest captains for speedrunning, super high damage. A lot of people underrate him because he doesn't have any inherent utility in his own abilities, but his subs have plenty of utility, so keep that in mind. V2 Shanks, still a legend I do not have. Believe it or not, guys, V2 Legend Shanks is the oldest legend that I do not own. So out of all the legends that have been released in the game, V2 Shanks is the oldest one that I don't have. I don't have him on global, I don't have him on Japan, I just don't have him. And it really triggers me because he's so good. He's so good for special events. He's always rated up or boosted. And I don't have him. He's just, even without the boost, he's an amazing captain. Amazing sub as well for so many different teams. Especially V2 Akainu. So it kills me. It kills me. Shirahoshi. You can never really go wrong with Shirahoshi. And if you are an Enel fan, when 6+ Enel lands, you need to have Shirahoshi. 6+ Enel is so good. If you have V2 Aokiji, you need to have Shirahoshi, because the Shirahoshi, V2 Aokiji, and 6+ Enel combo is brutal. It's freaking brutal. You shave 5 million HP off the boss, and then you've got a 4.25 times attack multiplier. Bellissimo. Bellissimo. That's what I'm talking about. Inuarashi, very likely to get a 6+ soon. I believe Sulong Carrot, hopefully that's not a spoiler, Legend Carrot is most likely on the horizon for Japan, but that's a long time away, so don't worry too much about that. If you do not have Buggy, ladies and gentlemen, if you do not have Buggy, please be pulling or pull on part 1. Buggy just saves you so many gems. He gives you the equivalent of so many gems or Rayleigh points worth of materials, universal skill books, guaranteed socket tomes. You want to be duplicating these things. He saves you time. He genuinely saves you time or from refilling. Buggy is such an underrated legend. People who appreciate him know, people who have him know how much of a great legend he is. He is by far one of the most used legends in the game. And of course, if you want friend points as well, then by all means, you've got to have yourself a Buggy. Blackbeard, when he gets to 6+, I can see him being very good again. But right now, even though barriers is still a niche thing, and he's niche in that way, and people like to, you know, give him perks or give him that benefit of the doubt that he's still a good legend because he can bypass barriers, realistically speaking, 2.75 times attack boost is just not enough anymore. Even if you pair him up with someone else, it's really not enough. It's a huge deficit compared to people who have 4 times attack boost. You might as well just bypass the barrier by breaking it and then just doing that crap ton of damage instead of trying to whittle your way through a barrier. So that's my take on Blackbeard now. Zoro, best artwork in the game, that Legend Zoro before he's 6+, but 3 times attack boost, too old. It's not good enough. Akainu, squishy, kind of restrictive on his subs that he can use. He's a Rainbow Captain, yes, but ideally you want to go with a mono strength team. When he gets a 6+, it's going to be nice, but at the moment, doesn't look like we're going to be getting a 6+ anytime soon. Cavendish, I'm sorry Cavendish, as much as I like Cavendish, he is hashtag hot garbage. He is hot garbage. The rare recruits on part 1 though, if you are a new player, the rare recruits on part 1 is very good, and it's very likely you wouldn't want to be waiting and sitting around for part 3 to be pulling if you are a new player. So part 1 I would highly recommend pulling on if you are a new player. Time Skip Sanji is a rainbow sub, very, very good one. Nami is also a rainbow sub, a very, very good one. So the 2 time skip versions of them. You've got Time Skip Robin as well. If you have... Which legend is she good for? If you have Nami, Legend Nami or V2 Rayleigh, and you want to run a deck side team with V2 Rayleigh, then by all means go ahead and go for that Time Skip Robin. She's also very good on the Jewel unit, the Zoro and Sanji Treasure Map Mode unit. But outside of that, not bad, not bad. She's also good on Gear 4 Luffy teams as well, V1 versions. And then you got Carrot, a Chain Manipulator, not too bad, but nothing too special. And then the rare recruits in the bottom row are very specific for your team. Like the first 2 subs here, you've got, I was going to say Diamante, but it's Bartolomeu or Bartholomew. No, it's not Bartholomew, it's Bartolomeo. You got Barto, you got Cavendish. Those 2 combo very well on a Lucy team. You've got this Diamante, who was originally seen as the worst of the batch, but now, in my opinion, I think for a lot of people now, he's the best of the batch. There's so many pieces of content, like Kai content, where he comes in useful, he's boosted. Not sure why, but Diamante is just like that. He's got very good utility in that regard. And of course, Kuros, if you have a slasher team, Kuros is the must-have sub. He's the must-have rare recruit. Other than that, not too many uses for Kuros outside the slasher teams. And then you've got Rebecca, Hot Garbage, and the 2 20-year anniversary Straw Hats, who are Brooke and Hot Garbage Chopper. Both of them pretty much useless units. So, part 1 has a good selection of legends. I'd say the top row is good. In fact, I'd say none of those legends other than Cavendish are truly, truly bad. Like, they're not, outside of Cavendish, they're not hot garbage. So you've got 11 legends there, which are decent and above. You've got 5 there, which are very, very good. The 5 I'm talking about here, or in fact 6 here, that are very, very good. The 6 I'm talking about is the first 4, then Shirahoshi and Buggy. Those 6 are crucial legends to have in your box, or maybe not V2 Sanji, but you guys get the drift. You guys get the drift. Part 2. Do I even need to go over part 2, guys? The rare recruits, rubbish. You've got 3 rated up rare recruits here that are not available on part 1 that are not garbage, because the Whole Cake Island rare recruits in Pedro, Brooke, Chopper, and also Carrot, they're all rated up on every single day, so you can cancel that out. And then you've got, what's his name? Duffy! What's his name? Duffy! It's Treble, Pika, and then 20th Anniversary Sanji. All 3 are pretty solid. V2 Dofi users, you definitely need to have that Treble and the Pika. Maybe not the Pika, but definitely the Treble. But Treble and Pika, solid units. The rest of the rare recruits, We're not about that life, ladies and gentlemen. We're not about that life. Gear for V2 Luffy is rated up. Very good legend. Katakuri, very good legend. V2 Rayleigh, very good legend. V2 Aokiji, also very good legend. And of course, Kung Fu Luffy, in my opinion, very good sub. Maybe not a good captain, but very, very good sub. Out of those legends, I would say only the bottom row would consist of Hot Garbage. You got Kizaru, his 6+, doesn't really make him too great. Log Luffy, he's just a meme. He's just a meme. Int Hawk, while he does have very nice splash art for his 6+, and his 6+ does make him a lot more usable, he's still very niche in where to use him. And a lot of the times you can just replace him with like a booster, someone who will boost your attack or your orbs or your conditional attack or something like that instead. And V2 Fujitora, on paper, not too bad. In practice, people don't like playing with him. Hody, if you 6+ him, he's great, but he's only great for people like whales who want to speedrun stuff, speedrun Fortnites instead of using Neptune. And then Crocodile is actually very good when you 6+ him for cerebral teams, but if you cannot 6+ him, then he's not that great. Outside of that, the first 4 units and then Kung Fu Luffy, because we're excluding V2 Lucci. If you're going to want to go for V2 Lucci, just do the 5 multis. I don't recommend it, but if you do want V2 Lucci, 5 multis guarantees him on any part, but then you've got those 5 decent legends there. But part 2, highly recommend, do not touch it. Just do not touch it. There's no discount in multi. There's no reason to go for part 2. Part 3. Now this is where things get tricky, because part 3 I think is just as good as part 1. Yes, there's no Gear 4 V2 Luffy rated up, but take it with a pinch of salt. These are just rate ups. You can still pull Gear 4 V2 Luffy on part 3. It's all RNG at the end of the day. You've got one of the best subs in the game, or the best sub in the game in Nami. You've got V2 Akainu, who is arguably the best captain for speed running, mediocre to high to end mid game content. He can clear end game content, but it is a lot more riskier. But when it comes to mid-tier content, stuff like the 40 stamina Socket Book Island, which you do want to speed farm as fast as possible, Akainu is the best legend to have for that. V2 Dofi, if you want to speed farm easy content, is great as well, because team has full beneficial orbs. But V2 Dofi, he's the more sort of slow and steady, but slow and powerful. He's like a tank, really. He's genuinely like a tank. High firepower, a little bit slow to get started up, but he's also tanky as well, can take a lot of damage, safe playstyle, but also very paid to win. Lucy, now Lucy is the benchmark legend, and when I say benchmark legend, he is the one that sets the standard of whether or not you're a good legend. If you're better than Lucy, or you're more power crap than Lucy, then yes, you are a top legend. If you're worse than that, then no, you are not a top legend, you're just like an legend, right? Like Garp. So people said Garp is not as good as Lucy. As a captain, I can agree with that. Maybe as a captain he's not as good, but as a sub, I would say Garp is one of the best, if not the best in the game. 3 times chain lock, ladies and gentlemen, along with a HP cut that goes through barriers. Considering we're getting enemy bosses with like 15-20 million HP now, that is huge. That is freaking huge, and people understate how good he is. Justice for freaking Garp, okay? He is the marine hero. Lucy, of course, is still a good legend. You got Kuzan, if you can 6+ him, still solid as a sub. Magellan, also like Dofi, is the slow and steady, in fact, very, very slow and steady playstyle, but he's also fun to play with. He's very relaxing to play with. You got the 2 strikers there, Nekomamushi and Law. Originally, I was going to put them in the Hot Gabaje section, because strikers, especially on global, are very underutilized now, because they're just not as good as other classes. You've got the Dofi, who's very good on rainbow teams, but if you don't want to waste, well, I wouldn't say waste, if you don't want to stall that long, because cooldown is 15, it's still very high compared to all of the newer legends. If you're trying to speed run content, if you're trying to power farm stuff, he's really not the legend to be looking for. But if you are a newer player, then V2 Dofi, you can max skill him, will help you in so many different pieces of content. 2 times rainbow orb boost and adjacent orb manipulation is very nice. Corazon, now for the newer players, of course, rubbish, absolute garbage, but if you can 6+ him, and for the veteran players, I'm sure you guys already know, he becomes one of the best subs in the game when you can 6+ him, which is a huge turnaround for him. I'm so glad they did that, and his 6+ looks freaking awesome. The artwork is a bit of a feels bad man, but in game, his artwork, or his sprite, is amazing. Let's move on to the rare recruits. Now the rare recruits on this day, in my opinion, are the best. That second row, you've got the rare recruit Marco, you've got the Valentine Shirahoshi, and you've also got the Boa-san Sonia and 20th anniversary Nami. Now 20th anniversary Nami has been boosted in several events in the past. Pretty good unit overall as well for damage reduction and utility wise. And of course Boa-san Sonia for striker teams is almost always a must-have combo with not Boa Marigold, but instead Kanjuro. Those two work together very, very well. Boa Marigold unfortunately has fallen off a bit because there's lots of debuff protection nowadays. You can't break enemy defenses as easily. Powerhouse teams, you don't really need Boa-san Sonia too much anymore. She's still nice to have, but not the best unit. Valentine Shirahoshi and Marco, 2 of the best utility units in the game. If you don't have them already, it would be nice to have them in your box, especially Valentine Shirahoshi. So clutch in so many different pieces of content. The bottom row is more niche. They're more geared towards V2 Aokiji owners. So the Sengoku and Hina are pretty much there for V2 Aokiji. Sengoku as well, I pulled him in a recent video and I literally said that he's a good unit on paper, but his cooldown is so high that there's so little places where you actually want to use him, because it's just going to be so mind-numbing just stalling for his special. And most of the time you want to use his special on a mini boss as well, which means you're stalling for a mini boss. It's really not worth the hassle. Garp, very rare that you're going to use him. He is also one of those units that sits in your box for a long time and then comes a special event where he might be boosted stats wise, cooldown wise, and then maybe he's useful, but you're clutching at straws when you're trying to justify him as a top rare recruit in that regard. Kuma, if you use Shiryu teams or zombie teams, is a very nice unit to have, but outside of that, he's pretty good for utility, but nothing too special. He gives a lot of utility, and internal healing is pretty much what he does. Beppo, I can't remember ever using him outside of Kaya now. I don't remember anyone else using him outside of Kaya now. Nothing too special. Bar Marigold, as I said, you can't really break defense anymore. She's geared more towards mid-game content. For example, Colosseum Nekomamushi was what she was really there for, along with Boa-san Sonya. And then Sicilian, even when Sicilian came out, he looked good on paper, but realistically, hardly anyone used him. Again, he's one of those, can't really do anything past debuff protection. He delays, so not that great. His orb manipulation also is not that great. So there you have it, guys. Part 3 has good rare recruits. Part 1 also has good rare recruits. I would say Part 3's rare recruits are better. And also they have a lot more better legends, or a lot more... They have a less garbage legends. Like the worst possible legend that is rated up on Part 3 is Corazon. And then when you 6+ Corazon, he's actually very good. So do keep that in mind. But there is no Gear 4 V2 Luffy rated up on Part 3. You can still pull him, but he's not rated up. But overall, that's it from me, guys. My overall recommendation is not to pull on any of these days. If you can resist till Christmas and see what's up with Christmas, or what's up with the 100 million download SUGOFEST, then try your best to wait for that. I know it's blue balling. I know you're struggling with the No Nut November memes. It's a struggle. I know it's painful, and it's a cycle, because when you enter this cycle of the next SUGOFEST will be better. There's an even better SUGOFEST coming in the future. You're just going to be holding on for such a long time, and your ballsack is just going to explode. But when that explosion comes, it's going to be great. It's going to be so good, because you're going to have a ton of gems to splash on an awesome SUGOFEST. Having said that, the SUGOFEST is a good SUGOFEST. It's not bad by any means. It's just that the time frame, you know, it's just one more month, guys. One more month. Maybe 3 more months, and it's the anniversary, right? Anniversary is always February for the global version. So 3 more months, and you can splash out all that No Nut November, no nut for the entire year. Keep that in mind. Stay strong, guys. If you crumble and you nut, then good luck to you on the SUGOFEST. I have no idea why I keep talking about this, but good luck to you on your SUGOFEST pulls, guys. I hope your free legend pulls or your free pulls, whatever you did for the World Clash ranking, goes well as well. I will have a video covering that. I have 6 multi-pulls, I wish I had 6 multi-pulls. I have 6 guaranteed legends and 6 extra free pulls for my rewards, so do look forward to that. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Have a wonderful day. Remember to hashtag Danke Bandai, and bye-bye.